Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What's happening? I am late this morning, and I've been thinking of whether or not I would make today political because I had this fun little thing with butterflies. So I'm flapping, so I'm regulating the 108-degree heat. But instead, I wanted to talk about something a little bit more pressing, a little bit more that needs to be discussed at the time it happens. I'm going to share this video on my personal page. Another perfect example of the situation we are in this country, the fact that I have to share this post because my page was temporarily not allowed to use a live video feature because of something that I don't even know what happened. So I'm going to get into it, but I'm going to go ahead and share this video to my personal little bit of DNC night one review. That's today's daily truth. That's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to try to get into this fast. Not all misinformation and not all lies are created equal. First off, I think most people that follow me know my political leanings. I don't care which way you politically lean, but I want to explain why sometimes when I get into political discussions about facts, the people that I discuss with repeat and parrot points that not only are parroted by the mainstream media, but are parroted by the opposite political side. For example, the Democrats. Now, does Trump lie? I want to start out just with this. Do Republicans and Trump lie? Absolutely. What I see from them is a different kind of lie. And if you compare the first night of the RNC to the first night of the DNC, it was two vastly different messages. The RNC, who are portrayed by the DNC as the hateful, awful, disgusting, vile human beings, were talking about widening the net, bringing people into the fold of this new Republican Party. And the Democrats said everybody was welcome while slamming other people, while slamming people that say are Trump voters or support that side. There was a lot of hateful rhetoric that was just quietly slipped in the syntax and then also blatantly said at other points. So does Trump talk about the fact that Kamala is dangerous for the country? Yeah. Would I actually agree with this? There's Democrat friends of mine that will look at Kamala and go, "How did she become the nominee?" And honestly, I don't know. This is the most unpopular vice president based on the polling in history that just all of a sudden became this media darling. By the way, also Tim Walz. Now, this is a Republican speaking point that's not a lie, but it's kind of one of those things. Like Walz, they keep calling him coach. I mean, yeah, he was a coach. He was a defensive coordinator. He wasn't the head coach, by the way. I mean, I guess that makes sense if he's vice president. All right, I'm going to stop talking petty about this. But last night was ugly, and I'm going to explain why, especially during Joe Biden's speech. And amazingly enough, if people don't realize, CNN actually has an area where they have commentary, including fact checks. And the fact checks were they weren't in real time, but they were relatively accurate. And that's what I've been spending time reading this morning to see if they actually covered most of the fact checks. And I am impressed that they at CNN's website actually did. One of the biggest ones where I was like, did I just hear that correctly? And why this is dangerous. Trump speaks in hyperbole a lot. Trump will talk about the fact that I'm the greatest ever. We had the greatest economy. I mean, it was good, but then you had COVID, you had some issues. I mean, I would love for him to point to more statistics, but he uses things like I had the biggest crowd. I mean, was it the biggest crowd? Is that really even important? It's not an important piece of misinformation. And this is where lies are not all the same. Now, if you are blatantly lying to the American people to demonize the other party, for example, although this has been fact checked by even Snopes at this point, left leaning, this is now fact checked on CNN. When Biden is somehow allowed to continue to talk about the Charlottesville speech about Trump saying there was good people on both sides, he allows the American public to still think that Donald Trump is this horrible Nazi sympathizer. the next sentence to the there, and again, this is on every, even the ultra left fact checks. There's very good people on both sides, but I condemn the neo-Nazis. They're, they are bad people. He literally said it in the next sentence. He was just talking about the fact there was two different sides of the political spectrum there. Both sides had good people, but except for the neo-Nazis, they should be condemned completely, which he says in the next line. It's very much the same as when Trump talked before January 6th, and he said, you make our voices heard, fight, but you make them heard patriotically and peacefully, and they leave out syntax. That's very dangerous because it paints a hateful picture. Meanwhile, last night, they kept talking about maybe we should do campaigns with no more hate. And then their next sentence is essentially calling Trump Hitler. This is very dangerous because it's the programming that goes into a lot of the conversations that I have with individuals on a daily basis that come in, and like if I have a political post or if I'm on my political page and they say things, and it's like you're parroting these very dangerous speaking points. Trump lies. Republicans lie. They inflate numbers, they fluff, whatever. Now, there's also a different level of inflating, and I have to bring up the inflation point, not the inflation in this country, but the inflation point. Biden talked about building electric vehicle charging stations and essentially talked about the fact that his administration installed 500,000 charging stations all across America. As somebody that knew that this was like, immediately I looked at it because this is one of the ultimate failures of this current administration is they collected currently $7.5 billion in tax funds in order to build this infrastructure bill that they talk about, that they tout in order to build charging stations. Now, there's I think about 180,000 charging stations planned. Again, this has been 4 years. This was passed one of the first things in his administration. 7.5 billion to date. It was a bipartisan infrastructure bill in 2021. To date, they've completed seven chargers for $7.5 billion. So this is one of those areas you may not want to talk about. Even CNN and the fact check says, but it's been slow going. Okay. Let's see. There's a couple different things. What else did I have? The manufacturing jobs that he talked about. Again, a lot of the job creation discussion points are interesting to me. A lot of he continues, and again, this is very difficult for people to understand if they're just watching mainstream media. It's not job creation; it was job bringing back after COVID, and they were already in the process. We were in the process of the economy shifting, and again, we could talk about all the issues that the way Trump managed COVID and the way Biden it's all bad. There was in hindsight is 2020. But again, you can't say that you created jobs when you simply brought the same jobs that were there back. Honestly, CNN's got just a million fact checks on here. See, that was a Republican thing. I said a million fact checks. They've got several fact checks. That's inflating. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going through a couple before I get done here. But it's important. It's very important to understand the truth behind all of this. And like, I was watching it just seething last night. I have some other points. I was literally taking notes the whole time going, is this real life? Are they just going to let him say a bunch of things? Manufacturer. Oh, the premiums on Medicare Part D. Again, the reason why these are direct lies, because they're in charge right now. They're in charge of the actual government, and they're in charge of government spending. And they're dangerous because they're, as much as I'm happy CNN is fact checking them, when I watched afterwards CNN and MSNBC last night, the worst things that they said was, man, Biden was yelling a little bit too much tonight, instead of what they would be saying if Trump was speaking, or if any of the Republicans were. They would be calling out each and every lie as it goes and being like, when last night they're like, Biden yelled too much. Yeah, Biden yelled a lot last night, but he also lied up and down the whole speech with information points that have become programming for Democrat voters to think that the whole right is horrible. Oh, the HBCU. He even brought up things like how, again, they like to paint the right as racist. he brought up some of the things that Trump put in action during his presidency, like the billions of dollars to the HBCUs. He touted that as his own. That was literally a Donald Trump platform, not a platform. That's what he did. That was an accomplishment of Donald Trump. But then again, programming it to the American people that this is what they did. They care more about black people. They care more about minorities. He talked about the fact, oh yeah, he used the phrase about Donald Trump talking about people coming across the border and poisoning the blood of America. He was talking about the criminals and the gangs. He was very clear in that speech. But again, it was two sentences either before or after. It wasn't part of the one soundbite that they use as their marketing. And again, it's incredibly dangerous because we are just lying. They're just lying to the American people. Premiums are tripling on Medicare Part D right now, and talked about how great it is that what they're doing with health insurance and the whole thing with insulin. That was actually done during Trump's tenure against the pharmacy. The fact that Biden was talking about how they've beaten pharma when he got an $8 million and compared to Trump got a lot, $2 million from pharmaceutical lobbies during his campaign last time. Like he's been very beholden. I think anybody can see, even if the ones that are programmed, that he's been very beholden to the pharmaceutical companies. All right, that's about all I need to do on that one. Yeah, all right, I got it out. I had to get that out. I hope you guys like it, share it, do all the things with it. But that was I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to go ahead and put this link that's got a lot of commentary from CNN. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the link, and that will show that even CNN was covering some of the lies. But again, it's important for people to understand the difference. And this is where the truth lies. The truth is there are a wide variety of different lies when it comes to politics. There's embellishment, there's hyperbole, and then there's dangerous misinformation. And when one party controls the information that reaches the people, it's a very dangerous situation because they're able to use things that are completely offbeat. They're able to continue lies about a former president, talking about the fact that he told people to inject bleach, lie. Talked about that there was good people on both sides and he was talking about neo-Nazis, a lie. And it's a blatant lie that misdirects the American people from the actual issues and the platform at hand that needs to be talked about from Democrats or from Republicans. And the Republicans did a great job at the RNC. I think everybody can understand that. Even CNN and MSNBC were talking about, man, this was very uniting a couple days. The Republicans were casting a wide net. Oh, and lastly, the abortion topic. The fact that they're still continuing to say that Donald Trump will ban abortion nationwide, even though he has said it over and over again. This is not his plan. He actually is against that. He wants it to be constitutionally based and state law. And I can tell you one thing, if the Republicans would drop the pro-life issue and try to find a compromise place, whether it's 15 weeks or whatever, I don't think the Republicans would ever lose another election. Like literally, that's the big, clearly, if you watch the first night, that would tell you what the biggest speaking point is of the Democrats. So, yeah, and they lied about that, and it's been very clear. And he went through constitutional ways of getting rid of Roe versus Wade. So anyways, I needed to sum it up better than that. The truth is not all lies are created equal, especially in politics. When it comes to what we're seeing out of the national conventions of both parties, we're seeing two different levels of lie. In my opinion, we are seeing hyperbole, a little bit of conflating of numbers when it came to the Republicans. But when it came to the Democrats, they know that they've got 90% of the media in their back pocket, which allows them to create the same bullet points and speaking points that even with the fact checks that are on the back page of CNN that I had to click and find, they know that they can get away with really hateful rhetoric that paints an evil picture on the other side, saying, if you even consider voting for that, that's what you're voting for. Oh, and look at all the accomplishments we had with not just an embellishment of number. I think the difference between 500,000 charging stations and 7 for $7.5 billion. Yeah, 500,000 is what was said. Those numbers are so far apart that it becomes very, very dangerous. And people that don't do enough research to continue to see, is that correct? Is that correct? Is that correct? Oh, is there a fact check page here? They end up having to regurgitate just absolute evil misinformation in order to prop one party up. It's dangerous. That's all I have to say. Today's an incredibly real long daily truth. Again, I wanted to talk about butterflies, and here we are. So, God bless, guys. If you're interested, we're only a day away from my Wednesday speaking course, free speaking workshop. Go to doubledownspeaking.com. Sign up for that. Again, that's doubledownspeaking.com. It's like, I call it Toastmasters on steroids. Come with me, hang out. And then what else I got? That's it. Don't be a garbage human being. Don't surrender your animals. Take it easy. Oh, Diane, you're right. They talked about Trump doing away with Social Security. What?